Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Will Crosby. This is Local Chat, episode 167. And joining me this week is Kyle Bailey.
Howdy.
And the incomparable Ian Gibson.
Hello, everybody. I'm back. I'm so sorry. I did previously promise that I would not make the joke anymore, that we didn't have an episode last week because I was out. So I won't be making that joke this time. Thank you.
I think that's the second time you've made the joke that you wouldn't be making the joke anymore, which is even better. Folks, I just want to take a moment to let everyone know that we lost a great one yesterday. Innocence has prevailed. And Ford can sell Broncos again.
Took me a second to figure it out.
I just want to shout out to Comedy Bang Bang because I think it's Carl Tart who does an OJ character the last couple of years, and it's so good because he comes on and he plays OJ's Twitter persona, which, if you don't know, is OJ trying to be normal. And he constantly says, and at the end of every tweet and every video, he just says, haha, take care now, y'all. And so Carl Tart ends every sentence with that. He's just like, yeah, I went golfing yesterday. Okay, take care now, y'all. And then everybody else on the Comedy Bang Bang podcast, when he's on, they pretend like they don't know about the murders. So they're just like, wow, NFL star, what have you been up to? I haven't heard about you since the 80s. What have you been doing? It's fantastic.
You're great.
It's great.
Is it Airplane he's in? Or is it, no, it's Naked
Gun.
Gun.
Yeah, Naked Gun.
Airplane
He's
is
like a co-star in that movie.
It's Kareem.
He's good in it. He's good in it. He's good at slapstick.
Yeah, he's not.
Yeah,
he wasn't a bad athlete actor.
Yeah.
But he was a bad murderer who got away with it.
No, that makes him a good murderer.
That's a good murderer. Yeah.
True. But are you still good if everyone knows you did it?
I mean, it's like compare, like, he's a good author too, because he got on the New York Times bestseller list. Like, he's good at everything he puts his mind to. You know
the story. He wrote that book, and then like the family sued, and got the rights to the book, right? And that's why the like "I did it" is so big on the cover, and the "if" is so small, and they get the money from it, and everything. So I was hesitating. I still never bought the book or anything, and I was like, oh, I should get it because it doesn't go to him, the money for it. So might as well. It definitely doesn't go to him now.
You bought the audiobook though, right?
Yeah. That'd be incredible. He just like pauses during it. Sorry, I'm remembering, and I just need to, I'm not remembering. Folks, we're here to talk about real world events. Always topical here. Ian, I assume you have written this because you're the one going on vacation. In the chit chat section, that you need the best retro travel games.
Yeah, I have a little story here. So a couple months back, I bought an R35S, which is basically a knockoff Miu Mini, and it's basically a Game Boy sized play everything up through PS1 console. It's a little fantastic Uber. Yeah, just like that. Although mine has joysticks on it, so fuck you. Also, I think mine was like 40. It was the rare case of you buy the knockoff and it turns out that it's better than the original and like $30 cheaper, and you're just like, what the fuck happened here? And the answer is slight tangent. Basically, the company does an exact copy, and then 3 months later they get a copyright infringement, and then they just choose something else to copy and then put that out, and then but it's fantastic.
We should do that.
Yeah, but anyway, so I was sitting in an airport and I was listening to a podcast, and it was the Giant Bombcast, and Dan Reichert was like, yes, I've been playing a lot of Mario Golf for the Game Boy Color, and it's really good. And I was like, yeah, I should play Mario Golf. And then I was like, wait, I have my R35 Plus with me. And then I pulled it out, and I have like 15,000 games on it, and I just hit search Mario Golf, and it was right there.
Hell yeah.
So like one of the games I've been playing is Mario Golf, and it was so fantastic to be like, somebody mentioned a retro game. I have that in my hands all ready to play. So just curious if you guys have some retro games you would recommend for a long trip. I know I've got Breath of Fire 4 from you, Will, that I'm excited to try out. Kyle, you got any recommendations?
No, I mean, I feel like I mean, mainly just like the early Fire Emblem games, maybe like Armor, or I don't even know what I'm talking
Arma
about
3.
anymore. It's too early. Yep. Arma 3, yeah, and 2 honestly is really good.
Great game.
Reforger.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm such a Nintendo, like all the old games that I played were Nintendo games because that's all I really had access to. So like the classic like Metroids, Metroid Zero Mission, and
I did put both of the Metroid GBAs.
I love
on my favorites
Zero
list.
Mission. It's fantastic, and Fusion is great too.
Yeah, maybe it's time for me to finally play through Super Mario World because I think I've only done like 2 worlds of that before.
Super Mario World gets good. Gets wild, but it gets good. I would recommend, other than Breath of Fire 4, which I'm glad you have the joystick for. It's fine on a D-pad, but the problem is it's like 8-way look. So on the D-pad, I have to like finagle 2 of them to like have my character look one way. But the last time I went on vacation, I played a shit ton of the Minish Cap Zelda, which is the Capcom Zelda, and that was pretty good.
That's on the list.
And then I started playing a little bit of Monster Rancher, which I heard is really fun. You're kind of like raising these monsters on a ranch. Wild stuff there. The title's very different from what you do.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's...
I got to the point where I just had to look up like at least someone's guide on how to play because I wasn't sure. But currently I just have a dinosaur on my farm that I feed meat every day. So and then I make him push blocks around. And then the only other one, none of these are like, I was trying to look up for you some like idle-ish games that I've been, not idle, but you know what I mean, like pick up and play, which Breath of Fire 4 is really the one that I would recommend for that. But because I haven't played much of the Mii Mini, but also Brave Fencer Musashi is just, it's like easy enough and plays well enough that it's great. And then Alundra 2, if you haven't tried that one yet, it's also pretty fun. Yeah, I'm excited. They're supposed to be releasing that new Mii Mini soon, which is the SP version clamshell with 2 sticks at the bottom.
Flip? That's awesome.
And I hope that comes out soon. Because the Mii Mini, like Onion OS, is probably the greatest thing about it, which isn't necessarily Mii Mini's thing. But
mine, I will say, mine doesn't have Onion OS, so I don't get automatic save states when I pause the console, and it doesn't do a full hibernate. But I can do immediate save states, and I can press the power button to just like go into sleep mode, which I think lasts about 48 hours. But yeah, it's that market is hopping, and it's crazy. It's getting better. One of the things I'm tempted to buy because it was on sale for like $40 yesterday is, again, it's the same type of console, but the format is different. It's basically like a 3.5-inch square screen in the center, and then you have controls on the right and left. So it's almost like a taller Game Boy Advance, which is great because the screen on this is fantastic, but it is a Game Boy size. So you do have to hold it a little bit closer to your face for some of these PS1 games. But yeah, this is the time to get in, because like literally I got mine for $40, and then I spent another $40 on like 256 gigabyte SD card and a 32. I actually think it was cheaper than that. It's a great time to get into this stuff. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Did you just download like a pack of games from somewhere? Is that I don't know how it works. Is that how you do it?
So you can. There's a, I think it's called Arcade Punks. Where it's this website that basically, I don't mean to call them out, but nobody watches us, but basically it's this website that's like, pick what device you have, pick what size your SD card is, and here's like 128 gigabytes of like all the retro consoles plus the best RPGs. You know, like here's every game made up. I did a custom where I kind of mixed some of these packs and ROM sets because I know what I like versus what I don't like, and PS1 games end up being a little bit big because they were CDs. So I don't have every PS1 game, but I was basically able to pack the full library. There's lots of different places you can get these ROM sets and ROM packs.
That's cool.
And it's hard for me to look at the Analog Pocket anymore and feel anything but disgust, because it's what, $200 for the Analog Pocket?
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, I know you're doing hardware emulation. I know the screen is like a much higher resolution. I think the screen is like a 2.5K or a 4K screen. Like, it's insane. But why would I pay that when I literally paid $40 and I have something that looks and feels just as fucking good, you know?
Yeah.
Why do you need a screen that? Why do you need a screen that dense for?
They just want to up-res all their shit.
Incredible. I love the Analog Pocket. I don't use it that much anymore. I'm glad I own one.
Yeah.
I mean, the dock and everything. I mean, that's the one part about the Mini Mini is it doesn't have HDMI out, which I think yours does, right?
I'm pretty sure mine does because I have a USB OTG port, so a USB-C OTG port, so I can do all sorts of shit on that.
So I like the Analog Pocket because I can HDMI out for any of those Game Boy games. It also has FPGA cores, which is great, and they're working on that. There's more stuff on that, so that's like a whole other side of it. But as far as like daily use, vacations, all that sort of stuff, the Mini Mini's fine. If I want actual hardware emulation, Analog Pocket's great for that, but I wholeheartedly agree. If I could redo it, I probably wouldn't buy it.
Yeah, it just feels like overkill, and there's always a market for that. But now that I can get something for $40 that does pretty much the same thing but better,
I think my next upgrade is finding something that does the like PS2 to like Dreamcast, Saturn sort of range.
Yeah,
which there's a couple things like that. But
that's the Steam Deck, honestly.
That's the other thing. It's just the Steam Deck.
You may have to wait because basically what happens is they come out with these chip eras, and the chip basically unlocks the portability of a certain system. So you may have to wait for the next chip era to really get PS2. Because I think ours right now can play some PS2 Dreamcast games, but a majority of them are not going to run well. So basically the next level of chips in a year or two should be fine.
Yeah. So I'm excited for that. I follow Retro Game Core on YouTube. His videos are really great for that stuff. He does like super niche stuff that I don't necessarily watch, but then there's always the like, these are the best ones under 100. These are the best ones I like this year. So it's always, and he's super like deep dive into it, which is great. Moving on from the retro games to the modern games that are also old. Games we've been playing this week. I'm going to go through this as fast as I can. Dragon's Dogma 2, I have finished. I have completed it. It is over. Finito. You are done. Good day, sir. I did the true ending, which was great. I got the Dragon's Dogma 2 title card with the true ending. It spits you back out into a version of the world you were in, which is really awesome. I don't know how much more content there is, but I basically went around to the main objective and then finished the game. But that like new map, I would almost call it, is really neat and cool. And there's like new boss fights and creatures you didn't see in the main game. And I'm like, why the fuck are these all hidden right here?
Is this New Game Plus area?
No, it is not. So you can get tricked into New Game Plus if you don't do the true ending. It's pretty obvious. I will say you're not really getting tricked into it, but yeah, if you do New Game Plus, you have to go around again to the ending to get the actual. Basically, if you do the New Game Plus ending, you are missing the actual bad guy of the game. And then if you do the true ending, you're like breaking the cycle of Dragon's Dogma.
Gotcha.
Or sorry, as they call it, the Dogma of Dragons in the game. And I'm like, what the fuck? What are we doing here? Just call it Dragon's Dogma.
Jeez.
So it was really neat. I dug the last like 3-4 hours in that game. It was really neat, and I thought they did a great job with it. And I really wasn't expecting it. So that's over and done with. It's currently my game of the year. That could change. It's not a solid game of the year, but I really, really enjoy that game. I played 30 minutes of Lego 2K Drive, and I hate it, and I don't want to talk about it. It's just I hate it. It's for children, and it's just not for me, and I don't like it. Shadows of Doubt, I tried out the new I just booted up a brand new game yesterday, and I solved a sharpshooter case.
Good job.
The first thing I had to do, well, first it spawns you, And now when it spawns you, I didn't have an apartment, so I went to the diner, grabbed a job, went and stole a secret envelope, did a bunch of stuff, died, forgot that they don't have autosaves in that game, so redid the envelope stealing mission in like 5 minutes flat, because it was the same mission. Then I had a murder in the courthouse as I was inside the courthouse.
Beautiful.
So I ran upstairs. I looked at it. I looked at the guy. I did all this stuff. I was like, I checked the security cams. His coworker was there at the exact time he died. I was like, bam, bitch, I got you. So I go to our house. I like collect all this evidence, everything, turn it in. Case unsolved. And I was like, what? No. So I reloaded my save, went back to the crime scene. And this is where the game falls apart a little bit because it's still in early access. But the deer slug, which is what said killed him, that came through the window bullet hole was at the bottom of the window, so it was like horizontal, so you couldn't tell someone actually shot through the window. It like glitched horizontal.
Okay, gotcha.
So I checked that, and I saw that, and I looked across the street, and I was like, there's apartments across the street. So I went to the apartment building across the street, went up one floor, went in the room. The guy had a receipt for a rifle and rifle ammunition. He had notes like written about people in the building and how he hated them. All this like crazy stuff. I went to the black market guy who needed a password that I found on a wall, and I like checked his ledger, and the guy had bought stuff. So I plugged all his name in and arrested him, and it said he did it, and I was like, yes.
I thought you were going to say it was also unsolved.
I was going to be so pissed if it wasn't them.
Oh my God.
That's one of the best things about Shadows of Doubt that I feel like is very realistic, is that I feel like in the real world, even for the detectives, it's you don't have certainty with every case, right? You just get to a point where you feel like the evidence is pointing enough in this direction that I feel like we can convict. You know, and you don't know unless there's like a killer piece of evidence or they confess to it. You know, you're never really 100% certain that was the person. You know,
yeah, and part of me wants Shadows of Doubt to be easier because it would be fun to like solve that stuff quickly. But something about it being that difficult, and even like I had a gig where it's just like, oh, here's the person's phone number, and there's like no reverse way of looking up someone's phone number in that game. Like easy way. If you know someone's name, you can easily find their phone number. But the other way is to go to if you go to your apartment and you dial their number, you can go check the phone bank in the basement and trace the call to the address it goes to, which is crazy. That you can do that in the game. I think there's a couple other ways of doing it, but
yeah, I was just gonna say, I feel like
have
there's
to think outside the box, which I really enjoy with that game.
Yeah, it's the best detective game ever because it makes you. It's like, I don't want to say a hardcore, but it's like it feels like a very realistic detective simulator. You're not playing a puzzle game styled as a detective. You're a fucking detective, and that's wild.
Yeah, super fun. I love it. So moving on, and then finally, I've been playing Splinter Cell, the original Splinter Cell, for the Xbox 2002. I'm happy to report my brother Alexander played this a bunch when I was a kid, and I distinctly just remember him always like trying to perfectly hide bodies because the way like Sam Fisher always puts them down perpendicular to him, so you have to like position it so they lay in the darkness properly. Man, Splinter Cell is still really good. That game looks fantastic on the Xbox Series X. It runs fantastic on the Xbox Series X. It has a little bit of that, like, obviously early 2000s jank, where, like, it's not perfect with detection and all that sort of thing, but it's just, like, you're moving from dark patch to dark patch. They take you through this plot which is scary, which is like the president of Georgia is invading Azerbaijan and like putting people into work camps and like covering it up and everything. And then it turns out there's this rogue Chinese general whose crazy thing is he wants to say that China owns Taiwan, which is really funny.
That's crazy.
Very apropos.
It's like they're like, we can reveal this and the Chinese will turn against him. And I'm like, oh, will they? Will they?
Not sure about that.
So like it's just this crazy plot. It did like this one mission I was in devolved into like a shootout at the end, which I wasn't the biggest fan of. It took me a couple tries to get through it, but overall Splinter Cell's still great. I think I'm gonna play through all the like original-ish games. Maybe I'll keep going all the way up, but it's really fun. Kyle, I know you really like Splinter Cell. It's fun to go back to this game. I think I'm almost done with it. I might have one or two more missions. But like I've been recording a bunch of stuff because I was thinking of putting together some sort of video about Splinter Cell. I think it's too old mainstream to be a play this. No.
You could just look. It's time for us to get politics out of games. All right, they don't belong here.
And then I was like, oh, maybe I'll do like a little like history of behind the scenes, because it's been tempting me. I'm waiting to finish the game, but on the main menu of the game is a behind the scenes video. And I was like, I really want to watch this, but I'm going to wait till I finish the game. So I might throw together some sort of like, probably like an appreciation video of Splinter Cell, because the other thing that game has is so many details. There's like hot coffee with steam coming off of it, like cigarettes with smoke. Using the computers is always fun.
It has the aquarium where if you shoot an aquarium, the water will go down.
Oh, it's so good. I shot a video of that.
2002, man.
Yeah, right? And there's like, I started this other mission where I have to go back to the Chinese embassy, and there's just a Chinese restaurant that you barely interact with, but there's just like guys hanging out there chatting. It's neat. There's a lot of funny conversations. I accidentally glitched and found it must be some sort of speedrun tactic, because I found out if you come around this corner and grab a flare as the guard's walking past and turning around, he just doesn't see you, and it's bright daylight, and he just like stands next to you, just keeps walking, and I went, holy shit, and then I murdered him in cold blood.
If you do, I can't believe that I haven't done a video on Splinter Cell.
That's what I was thinking.
It's one of those like long running series and franchises that I just like, I come back to it so much. That was also the first game, that original Splinter Cell game was the first time I realized Georgia was also a country and not just a state. And I was so good because I was young when I played it. I mean, I was only like 11 or 12 or something, and like I didn't know. I was like, Georgia looks really different, and I don't think they have those accents. Like I'm not entirely sure.
Azerbaijan's right off the coast of Georgia.
Yeah, we've all been there. So but no, if you end up doing that, maybe we could do like a duos. Yeah, and then we can interview Michael Ironside, and
I love Michael.
I think that would be really cool. Actually, we should try to do that.
So cute.
We'll circle back.
I forget. At one point, you discovered like the Chinese embassy guys doing something, and Lambert over the radio goes, "Dear Lord, blah 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 blah," and Splinter Cell, Michael Ironside goes,
his name is Splinter Cell.
"Dear Lord, what are you talking about?" It's like he has no idea what he's talking about. That's just such a good line read. I was like, thank God.
Lambert's such a good character, but whoever the actor is that plays him, I can't remember his name, but he's so consistent. And then like you have I can't remember, is Grimm's daughter in that one?
Which she's like, I realized the tech was like a Swedish name and not Grimm's daughter.
Yeah, the DOTR.
Like Ben Grimm, the Thing. That's his daughter. The Marvel tie-in. Yeah. Anyways, go back and play Splinter Cell. It's on Series X. I think it's like, honestly though, I think it's like $20. I think that's one of those stupid things where they're like, these games are still $20. So go find an old copy of it and just put it in your
real quick. Wait, because last week when we talked about you and Karen had played Splinter Cell Conviction.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Did you guys ever go back to that and figure out the like how the game functions?
Nope, not yet. We haven't. We need to. I think we were gonna do it tonight because we don't have to go out to dinner again. So I was like, nice. Oh, maybe we'll play more co-op games tonight. If I'm able.
Sure.
Just real quick, on your point about $20, Ubisoft Plus is a lot cheaper than that per month. So it's probably an Ubisoft Plus.
Oh yeah, it could be. I was downloading all of them, and the only ones I don't own are Double Agent, whose demo I played 1,000,000 times, and Blacklist on the Xbox, and they were both $20.
Gotcha. Yeah. Just want to call it. It's because sometimes you can forget. It's like I was thinking about playing Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, and I was like, do I want to pay $70? Yeah. And then it was day one on the Ubisoft Plus top tier, which was like $16 for the month, and I was like, oh, I only have to pay $16 to play this brand new game. You know,
it's a good game. So the story is not great, but it's fun and it's so pretty. It's incredible what they do, and the audio. Oh my god! If you have good headphones. They use basically it's like RTX for audio. It's crazy. It's wild. Ooh. Yeah, check it out.
That. So Splinter Cell. I'm gonna finish this one and then I'll pop in. I think Pandora tomorrow is the second one, and play a bit of that. It's a good. It's checkpoint saving, so you like finish checkpoint and you're like, I'm done for today, and then you move on. Kyle, let's hit yours real quick.
I mean, I really just have one. I'm not sure if we want to talk about the other thing that I listed there. So
we can hit that in the news section.
I figured that would be. I just wanted to say that was what I focused on. Anyway, Star Wars Force Commanders is a very old 2000 Star Wars RTS game that was developed by LucasArts, and it has a kick-ass soundtrack that basically takes all the Star Wars themes and turns them into like hard rock, like techno music. It's great. It's amazing. It's a solidly like 3 out of 5 stars, 70% game. It did not get reviewed very well. It did not sell very well. There was never a follow-up. But me and my brother and my sister all played this game for some reason. I think I got it at like Walmart. Like I have a hard copy of it in my little cubby back there, and like I haven't thought about that game in like probably 15 to 20 years, and I was just googling around last night and I downloaded the ISO for it, and someone had created a program that lets it run on Windows 10, and I was like, great, booted it up. That hard techno weird Star Wars theme music came on, and I just started playing, and it's so janky, but it's so good. There's a character named Delis, and for the first half of the game you play an Imperial commander or general who's like, your entire job is like looking at the battlefield, and that's how they contextualize everything, is like you're in a starship above everyone looking at where your troops are. Ooh. And for the first half of the game, your brother, whose name is Delis, is like the main objective is like kill this person or like defeat this person, and also Delis must survive. And it's always just like Delis must survive, and it's like it gets super annoying. And anytime you click on a stormtrooper, they go, "For the Empire," or like they say something like that, and it's great. But yeah, I'm probably gonna go beat it because I don't remember beating it that much. I think it maybe like I've completed it once because it's really hard. And the final mission is an assault on Coruscant, which is pretty cool. And you have like AT-AT walkers or AT-ATs and AT-ATs or whatever, like walking through like the streets of Coruscant up to like the the big General Assembly building. But it's great, and it's old-fashioned Star Wars back before Disney owned everything, and they were allowed to take chances and take risks, and it was cool. It also had local multiplayer, I think, with up to 4 people that you could do, and it would like switch off, and you could do LAN parties and stuff. It was great. But that's mainly what I've been playing.
It feels like a precursor to the Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds.
That's what I was.
Yeah, basically like Age of Empires, Star Wars.
Yeah, I never got into Battlegrounds, but it was a little bit before that, and I think that you're probably right. It was like hey, we kind of did this weird game. Let's do like a way better version of that.
Yeah, and then there was Star Wars Empire War.
Oh yeah, Empire War.
Should.
Yeah.
I want to go back and play because I've had a little bit of an RTS itch, and I never really played Galactic Battlegrounds other than the demo, and I never played Empire at War, which I didn't realize looked this good. I thought it was older. So,
Empire War. I remember being fun. I was playing that Galactic Conquest mode in Battlefront Classic, and I was like, oh, I should play a Star Wars 4X game. Also Galactic Battlegrounds I played, but you made me think of a great pitch, which is PlayerUnknown's Galactic Battlegrounds. Would be a fantastic,
PUBG with Star Wars slapped on it. Hey, did you actually? There's do we have this in the news section about PUBG? I just saw it. They're teaming up with Ducati. They've got Ducati skins for some reason. I don't know. It's some Fortnite bullshit. But Fortnite. And I was just like, who at Ducati was like, you know what, we need PUBG.
The intern.
We need to do a thing with PUBG. Yeah.
The CEO's son. That's great. I might play the Star Wars Force Commander. It looks like fun.
Try it. It's janky, but it's fun.
Ian Gibson. You talked a little bit about Mario Golf. Was there more you would like to tee off about?
Just quick hit on Mario Golf. This is Game Boy Color. I believe it's from Camelot. This is one of those games where they go, hey, did you realize that this sports game from, I think it's 1999 for the Game Boy Color had an RPG element to it, which is kind of cool. Bring back more RPG sports games. And it's fun playing it. I've been in the mood for just like a real basic golf game. They also have Mario Golf Advance, which I have not played, but is on my little console. So I'm excited to play that.
It's advanced.
Well, for some reason, I thought it was just the GBA version of Mario Golf for Game Boy Color.
Was it not?
No, I looked at it and I was like, oh, this, if I remember correctly, it's like partially 3D.
Oh.
I was like, yeah, based on the little snippet I saw for it. So I was like, okay. And people talk about that as a good one as well. I like I mentioned, I'm going on, I always get this like little like hesitation around playing video games right before a holiday because I don't want to start one, get into it, and then it's like, well, I'm gone for 7 days, So I've just been trying to, sample a little bit of stuff and play some old goodies. So I tried playing Terra Invicta, which is it's basically like it's a little bit like a 4X strategy game. It's on Xbox Game Pass. Basically, it's almost like an XCOM, but it's much more high-level strategy. The premise is, it's a really good premise. An alien spacecraft crash lands in Argentina. The whole world knows about it. So all these different factions pop up. And there's like a faction that is like, look, these guys are clearly superior, so we need to be friends with them to get science. There's like ones who are like on a religious angle. There's ones who are like, we have to kill all aliens. I was kind of going through the tutorial and I play as the resistance where I'm like, we don't know their intentions, but we need to at least build up we need to be defensive and build up a military and protection about it. And it's really like a very, very complicated board game. And it's funny. It's kind of like Twilight Struggle, which I've been reading about because I have it and I've been thinking about playing the one-player version of it. But basically, you have literally every country in the world. Actually, it's not every country. I looked. They're missing Lebanon. I don't know why. They just put Lebanon as part of Syria, which is a little upsetting because they have pretty much every other country. And you basically go around and you have agents, and you have, I think, up to 8 agents, and on each turn, your agents, you can give them actions like go to this country and gain one of the control points. And as you gain the control points of a country, you get more things you can do with the country, like determine their policy. You get a slice of their science output, their money output. Or you can go sabotage other agents, or you can investigate an alien crash site, or you can, start to do political actions. You can start invading other countries. And then I know later on in the game, it gets to a point where you can build spaceships, and then it becomes more of like a tactical space thing because you're like, oh, my faction has 10 spaceships and we're going to go to Jupiter and set up a space station there. I wasn't a big fan of the game, though, because it's very complicated. Like, I was starting to get it, but it's one of the reasons why, have you guys ever tried to play like Hearts of Iron or even like Crusader Kings.
Crusader Kings, yeah.
Hearts of Iron.
It gets a bit too much, and I could tell like I am not into this game enough to get through the difficulty curve. And that's not against the game, that's just my play style of it. But I think one thing against the game is it really feels like a board game, but where because they are doing it digitally, they don't have the limitations of a board game, you know, where they're like, oh, we can add a billion fucking mechanics to this. And they do. And when I started the tutorial, they were like, hey, this is the tutorial mission. And they're like, which like speed do you want to play the game? And there's like slow, normal, fast. And the normal was like, this is the normal pace. Expect a playthrough to last 80 hours. And I was like, fucking hell. So like, this just feels like a giant game with all this stuff going on in it. And I was just, and that's good. And a lot of it's working. It's just, I was not enjoying the mechanics that I was touching. But if you're interested in any of that, honestly, as I was playing it, I was like, I don't want to play this game, but I would love to know where this story goes, because they were setting up a really cool story. So yeah, it's a Terra Invicta. It's on Game Pass if you want to try that out. And then my other one is just comfort food. It was time to go back. It got launched a year ago and in a bad state. Kerbal Space Program 2. Will, have you played any of Kerbal 2?
I have not. Not since not since it came out, I should say.
Yeah. So it at least is not crashy and horribly buggy anymore. There's still some stuff that is missing or not as well done as the first game, but all the quality of life improvements they made since the first game is making it hard to go back to the first one. Just like in building and flying, etc. So I've been having fun. The thing I have been doing though is I never did the campaign or the science mode in Kerbal Space Program. Did you ever try that, Will?
No. Sorry, I realized as I was shaking my head that I should probably audibly say no. Don't worry, I caught myself.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so basically, the way the game first came out and the way a majority of people play it is sandbox mode. So you have all the parts, you just build whatever craft you want, and you make your own little challenges where you're like, I want to go here, I want to build a weird thing, I want to put a jet engine on the nose and a propellers on the back, you know. But the campaign mode is basically you start out with a limited number of parts, and they give you a mission. And the first missions are just like, hey, get to 10,000 feet, launch something at 10,000 meters or higher. And you're like, okay, you do that. You turn the mission in. They give you like 50 science, which is your currency that takes you to the tech tree to unlock further parts. And I'm actually kind of enjoying it. It's not very well structured. It has some weird gaps in it that I'm getting through only because I have played a lot of the game and because I can look up people and they can tell me how to do it. But like, it's like, you know, launch your rocket, and then it's like, get to orbit, get a stable orbit, get to the moon, get a stable orbit around the moon, land on this specific spot on the moon. Okay, now you need to do a geostationary orbit. Now you need to go to the second moon. And it's taken me through all these things that I have never done, and I've never challenged myself, like trying to land at a very specific spot on the moon. And I was able to do that and get within like a couple hundred meters of it and then walk over to it. So it's pretty fun. I would say if you were like me and you were disheartened by Kerbal 2, it's been a year. Now's the time to go back and give it a second chance.
Did you ever play I don't know if there was a campaign in the first one, but what you're describing sounds exactly like it's like a long-term tutorial basically, because I remember learning about like, this is an apogee, this is like your pitch and yaw for like the spacecraft and how you control it. And then I got to that point where it's like you have to land on a specific spot on the moon, and like I managed to do it somehow and I felt like so accomplished. And then you just go to sandbox and it's like, oh well, like I have everything, so like why would I even need to do this other than like teaching you how the game functions. But you said it's still like not super refined, but it's good.
It's not really teaching. It doesn't feel like it's teaching you well. It feels like it's teaching you by forcing you to do these things in a progressive order, but it doesn't do a good job of necessarily teaching you how to do them. They do have some like little tutorial shorts in the game, which are better than nothing. And they teach you some of the basics. But at the end of the day, it's going to be weird to say this, but I would recommend fucking around in the sandbox first. Yeah. I would recommend like the first 20, 30 hours of the game, play in the sandbox mode and because you're going to come up with your own weird little challenges, and you go to YouTube, you learn the basics. And now I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, now I have to apply what I have learned versus learning it in the campaign.
I wanted to say, first of all, I love all of you. No, second of all, I bet this ties in back to the Terra Invicta stuff, because I played that game as well, because that's how it was on Game Pass, and I made it about 30 minutes before I just quit, because I was like, I can't.
Wow. Wow. That's all you can put. I put 2 hours into it. Wow, Will.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about it, am I? I
do think it's good. I do think it's good.
No, I think it's fantastic. And that's my problem with Hearts of Iron. I've also played a bit of, and Crusader Kings. And my problem is all of those games are my jam. 100%. I would play those endlessly forever. But I can't. I just want to know how to play it. I don't want to play through the tutorial and learn how to play it. I can see myself really enjoying the game, having a fun time, but it's that giant barrier to entry that is hard for me to get over to then enjoy the game. And I know I need to do it, but I'm still afraid. And it's the same thing with Kerbal a little bit. Oh, just let me finish this. It's the same thing with Kerbal with a little bit, which I like. Limitation helps you learn a game. So stuff like, this is a terrible example, but stuff like Spore, where you start small and work your way up to the more complicated stuff. I like when video games do that, when there's like ages, or there's periods, or there's like technology research and everything. And I feel like Hearts of Iron and KSP and all that stuff have that, but it throws way too much at you at the beginning. So I like the fact of being like, hey, these are the 10 parts you get to this part of the moon. You know it's possible with these 10 parts, so you're not like...
Not necessarily.
Well, you know, it's... You have to be able to complete the objective that they're giving you.
No, because they give you access to the tech tree. There's nothing making sure you are purchasing the right parts.
Yeah. But like in a perfect world, that's like, I like when games do that. So by the time I get to the sandbox mode, I've played so much of it, I know what I can do. Like, I know what works, and then I can build off of that to make things work better. But if I just introduce the sandbox mode and they say get to the moon, I don't like, what rockets do I use? What, like, that's the sort of like overbearing stuff that happens so much to me in those games.
That's fair.
But anyways, I'm glad KSP is doing better, and I would definitely hit that campaign now that you're saying it's a little bit better in there.
Yeah, and I was just going to bring up, you kind of hit the same point, which is there are board games that do this. I think there are video games that do this as well, which is basically not every game has all the mechanics. Like, there are board games where they're like, hey, for your first playthrough, don't use this mechanic, take these cards out of the deck. You know, don't use this part of the board. And then you play the game and they're like, great, here's how you add in the next mechanic. Here's how you add it in. And there's video games that do that too, in terms of like their difficulty slider is literally like, hey, you won't have access to these things. These things won't happen. And I think for these types of games, these very dense strategy games, Terra Invicta, Crusader Kings, Hearts of Iron, I think they need to do that more, where they need to, the difficulty is not just the AI difficulty. They need to have a bare bones version. Okay, now you're gonna do the same thing, but now we're going to add in, resource mechanics. So you're gonna burn fuel with your planes, XYZ and stuff like that. I think that's the better way to do it for these games that are mechanics heavy is don't overwhelm the player with all the mechanics, introduce the mechanics bit by bit.
Yeah, and those games have built off of the previous games and also games that inspired those people to make those games. So all of the people making them and playing them mostly have the information of all the past games going into them, which is kind of what sucks about getting into those now. I mean, it's almost the Destiny 2 problem, but over a longer period of time in multiple games, where it's just like there's so much content that you're like, where do I start? And it's tough. But that's it. No more talking. Except about the news. Ian Gibson has collated the news straight from the AP terminal in his basement. He's printed it out. Tell us about the news, Ian Gibson.
Hi. Let's start out with the Triple I Initiative showcase. Will, I know you watched this. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. Sorry for the bad timing.
Okay.
I'll wait until the next time you drink, and then I'll ask you another question. Yeah, let's run through this. I'll just run through some of the hits here. We've got Slay the Spire 2 was announced. They said for Steam Early Access in 2025. Risk of Rain 2, which I believe is already out. I don't know if it's an early access though, but they've got some updates here for it. Shadows of Doubt you mentioned. I believe what you played, the Sharpshooter Assassin, was part of the update that came out recently.
Yep.
We've
Dino
got
Lords.
Dino Lords. Oh,
sorry, I'm on this. I'm on this link you sent.
No, same. I skipped over that one. Vampire Survivors is getting a Contra crossover. We've got Dyson Sphere program impending up to add new vehicles to the game. God, I should play more Dyson Sphere. What the Car, which is from a sequel from What the Golf, Friends of the Site, which has a demo out now, comes out September 5th. Darkest Dungeon? Is that right? Free update to Darkest Dungeon? Shouldn't that be Darkest Dungeon 2?
It should be Darkest Dungeon 2.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, lots of good stuff in here. Hyper Light Breaker, Jake's Current Fetish, Laysara Summit Kingdom.
He should really
which is like a terrace, which is like a terrace city builder, which looked pretty cool.
Laysara, I was like, this game looks so familiar. Like, what is happening? And then after the showcase, I got an email saying one of your wish list games is now on sale. Is now for sale.
Oh,
I was like, oh, that's where I know it from.
I vaguely remember you talking about this game at some point.
Was it
I can't remember if it was a wish list spotlight or not, because I don't know that much about it. It might have been a game I just saw or something, but Kyle, you're also making me think I talked about it. Maybe it was just in another stream.
It was a while ago, if it was, but I don't know.
This was one of those games that I was like, oh, I'm gonna play this today, and then I was like, fuck, I'm going on vacation. So when I come back, I'll probably play this. Yeah. We've got 33 Immortals, which, if you guys remember, is a co-op action roguelike for 33 people at the same time. We'd seen that.
I remember seeing the trailer for this.
Yeah. So mid-May on PC. We've got Mouse, which is, yes, the Mickey Mouse shooter game now that he's in the public domain.
That was.
I'm glad this is being built out.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, that was a wishlist spotlight. Mouse was.
Yes. Because it was one of those things where it's been going on for years, and it was like, are they going to be okay with this? And like, is this just a concept? But now that we're actually seeing it get fleshed out, it looks pretty fun. Some V Rising content, and then finally, follow on from last week's show, Dead Cells Studio Evil Empire has announced a Rogue Prince of Persia, which is a roguelike Prince of Persia game, which looks really, really cool. What do you guys think about the first Triple I showcase? Did you like it? What were the highlights for you?
I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was very well put together. It had great graphics. It was genuinely, it was funny during it. They had like a mid-roll recap, which was really great. And then they like teased what was coming up. I think all the games look killer. I think they also did a great job of like really elevating them all and showing stuff off. And there's a good mix of like indie stuff, sequels, and brand new stuff. I don't know. That's mostly my opinions on the showcase. I don't know much about Triple I and what they're focused on doing, but
because they announced that like 10 days before the showcase. I think it's literally just like an informal co-op between these publishers to be like, let's get together and kind of like an ESRB for indies in a way.
Okay, that's what I thought it was.
I'm sorry,
ESA. I didn't want to say something that was out of line. But yeah, I thought it was a great showcase. I think it kind of like took people by storm, being like, oh, there's some actual bangers in this.
Yeah. I didn't get a chance to watch it. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even know that it was happening on the 10th. I've been kind of busy, so I missed it. But seeing I was saying at the beginning before we started, like I couldn't believe the amount of games that were seemed like pretty quality releases for the most part, and like there's a lot of them. Like I'm interested.
Yeah.
I vaguely remember hearing something about Cataclysmo that like kind of reminded me that there was a game coming out called that, and it has this really unique art style. But like so much of these games, also the what the car thing is killing me, because I just remember interviewing what's his name from Triband or whatever, Tim, yeah. And his whole thing with what the golf was like, I've never played golf, I don't know what golf is, and I'm just like, has he driven a car? Does he know what a car is? It's like like he's making a game about it. But yeah, it looks quality. It looks like quality was at the forefront of this presentation, so I'm excited to see more, hopefully next year, or if they do like a 6-month sort of recap kind of thing, that'd be cool. But anything that's not, lorded over by Jeff Keighley, I'm a fan of. So
true. Yeah, fuck that guy. Let's move into the movie and TV block. We got 3 stories here. Amazon Fallout series has been seemingly renewed for a 2nd season just before the first episode aired. Horror fishing game Dredge is being adapted for a live action movie, and Five Nights at Freddy's 2 has been officially confirmed by Universal and Blumhouse. Any of these news stories really popping for you boys?
Kyle watched all of Fallout.
I did. I don't binge that many TV shows, but it was one of those things where it was like I wasn't going to sleep anyway, so I might as well just watch 8 episodes of a show. It was good. It was. I would verge, beyond saying that it was actually very good. Some of the stuff at the end of the season was very underbaked, and there are some side characters, like Kyle MacLachlan's character is like, he has like no actual backstory that they explain, which kind of sucks, because I was like, oh, like he's in like this big show, I want to see what his character is, and he's in like 2 episodes. But overall, I actually think it's a better video game adaptation than The Last of Us was, simply because it's not adapting 95% of a previously existing script for the screen. It's actually taking elements from the game and mixing them in ways that are new to both fans and newcomers to the game. So everyone is going to be in for a surprise. But it has really good callbacks, but they're not. I think I appreciate the way that they handled the nostalgia factor of being a fan of the Fallout series. You know what a Pip-Boy is, what like Vault-Tec is, and all these different monsters and abominations and stuff. But they handled it in a way that I think doesn't alienate anyone who isn't already affiliated with that series and knows all that stuff. And it was very friendly to newcomers. And I actually think it's one of those things where it's like, my dad might like this show, where my dad liked the Last of Us. But when I showed him that there was a video game and he was like, oh, I'd like to see the cutscene, I showed him the end of the first Last of Us game immediately after he had watched the end of the first season. And he was like, so they just copied the game. Like, that was like his actual reaction. He was like, so this is literally like I'm watching a video game, but it's done with real people. And I was like, yeah. So with Fallout, it's definitely, there's a little more oomph behind the overall story of the first season, and it was fun. It was a little wonky. Some of the humor really fell flat for me, like at the big, like, this is supposed to be a funny line, but luckily there wasn't too much of that, and a lot of the casting choices that they made really worked well for the character portrayals that we're seeing on screen. The Brotherhood of Steel stuff was really good. Honestly, I was like the least interested in that storyline at the beginning. And by the end, I was like, the Maxibus is the main character. I was like, he's really a compelling character, because he's kind of a coward. And like, it's just really interesting to see where his story goes. And Lucy, who's the girl from Vault 33, is obviously the fresh-faced vault dweller who goes above ground. And the actress who plays her, I think, was in Yellow Jackets. I've only seen like 1 episode of Yellow Jackets, so I wasn't really familiar with her work. Ella Parnell, I think, which I thought she was related to Chris Parnell for a second, and she's not. She's fantastic. She's such a bright, energy that she brings to the show, but then also like has a really great decline into like realizing what the world above is actually capable of. And it's just a really interesting portrayal that she has from like this bright and happy person to this, obviously she goes through some stuff. And obviously the big selling point for me was Walton Goggins, because he's incredible in everything he does. He's probably the most well-developed character simply because they spend the most amount of time with him, but he's got this really interesting dichotomy about him that is tied into the main mystery of the season. And they make some really, really cool choices with his character. And I won't say anymore. I'm trying not to spoil anything, but I'm very interested to see what season 2 does. I'm glad it got renewed. And one thing I do want to say just at the very end is the production design of this show is incredible. It looks great. And I've seen and have been watching so many like Disney Plus shows and Netflix shows. Like I finished The 3-Body Problem, and I was really excited for that show and pretty let down by it. Even just talking about it on a visual level, it was very, very poor. And this was like watching like a classic Hollywood movie. It had, I think it was shot on film. It just has that grain and grit to it that feels good. And they really put the money where you can see it. And it feels really good to watch. So I was very happy with it. But yeah, not perfect by any means. And definitely it could use some retooling in some aspects for season 2, but wildly better than I thought it was going to be, and I really enjoyed it. So you should take a chance.
Awesome.
I will say quickly, Karen and I watched the first episode. I surprised her with it, and they released it just for me. I thought they really nailed the tone of Fallout, the comedy of Fallout. I didn't super love the opening. There's also just like a 50-hour slow motion scene for no reason that I really didn't like. But the thing I thought they nailed really well is the like indifference of characters in crazy situations. Like there's just like people being murdered, and just one of the vault dwellers just like, well, watch the Jello, man. Like, don't drop, like, and it's just like, it just made me think of Bethesda NPCs just like not knowing what's happening, mixed with the Fallout lore. So
this is not a spoiler, but in the second episode, they have a scene between two characters where one character walks up to the other character and initiates a conversation while pointing a gun at the other character. And I was like, these writers have played Fallout, because that's exactly what happens in Fallout. And it was one of those things where I was like, that was like a good, like someone who knows about the game is willing to put that up on the show is great. Also, is the slow motion scene you were talking about, did that happen in the vault?
Yeah, the first episode.
Okay. That's what I was thinking, because
it made me think they like ran out of footage or forgot to film something. I was like, why is this all in slow motion? This is weird. This is like characters doing things.
I just assumed they were big fans of Peter Jackson.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, because Aragorn was there. It was so weird.
Yeah, it was very strange.
Anyways, I've only seen the first episode, so I can't comment on the rest of it. I haven't played Dredge and Five Nights at Freddy's. I'm happy for you. I'm glad that's working out. Not for the creator though, because he's a piece of shit.
Did you watch it? I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it either.
Is he a piece of shit?
I think so. Ian is. Sorry, I was kidding.
I can't remember if he's actually a piece of shit or if he just has the wrong political opinions. Because
there is for sure a difference, but they can sometimes be the same thing. But yeah, I can't remember either.
Yeah. Let's skip the business block and let's go right to the cool block. This was something that popped up on Twitter for me, and it's pretty freaking cool. There are some mods for Minecraft AI NPCs that now speak, so instead of chatting into it. So basically, using these mods, you can have NPCs in your game of Minecraft that you play with that have unique personalities that you can talk to and ask them to do things, and then they will speak back to you in voice chat. and they have personality. So sometimes they'll give you sass, sometimes they won't do things, sometimes they'll argue with each other. And this is so fucking cool, and I really want to install this and play around with this. This is one of those things where the anti-AI people are just like, it's going to put people out of jobs, all this shit. And it's like, yes, there are some ethical concerns with AI, but at the same time, if you could do shit like this, where you're giving me dynamic NPCs that actually feel lifelike and are not, shitty Fallout NPCs, then yeah, fuck yeah, give me that. I want to be in a game where I can go to somebody and literally say, hey, Charles, go get me some bricks. And he's like, I don't want to, I'm mining trees right now. And you're like, what the fuck, Charles?
Punch him. Go get the fucking bricks.
I don't know. Am I hyping this up too much? Is this cool to you guys?
I think it's pretty cool. I know that Digital Foundry did which apparently we have to say fuck Digital Foundry every time we bring up Digital Foundry. They I can't remember what his name is. One of the Digital Foundry guys did a demo where a company was doing this with a third-person game, I think, or something like that. And he said it was definitely very early days, but it was interesting, and it was a little bit more dynamic than he was used to, and he was able to figure out stuff based purely on questioning NPCs rather than busting through a wall or something like that. So seeing this implemented in a game like Minecraft for me is actually like, I tend to just ignore the NPCs. Like I have no interest in talking with them when I'm playing Minecraft, or I'll just kill them. But if they could actually help me do stuff, and I could recruit them or have them build me something or pay them or something like that, I think that would be really cool. And that adds a new dynamic way to engage with that game.
Yeah, I think even just the layer of interaction, like I'm imagining without AI, these bots are just like, you click on a menu and it's like, do you want this to be your follower? And you're like, yes. And he goes, what do you want the follower to do? And you're like, mine. And then he just does that, and it's like, it works. But I want to be able to talk to him. And I want to be like, see this mountain? And he goes, yes, I see the mountain. I want to be like, dig a mine underneath it, go all the way down to the bedrock and build a giant cavern for me. Like, he can do the busy stuff, and I can easily describe that to him by literally just asking him to do it with specifics, as opposed to having to dick around with a UI UX that never quite gives me the detail that I want.
Can we teach them the 3 laws when it starts? You're like, these are the 3 laws. You
Read Isaac Asimov.
I haven't been this excited for AI and voice stuff since Tom Clancy's End War. Which nailed it.
Dude, I remember that. Holy crap. Wow, you just unlocked like a series of memories.
Another Alexander thing, he loves Tom Clancy apparently in my memories, was playing Tom Clancy's End War and would go like, move troops over here. Moving troops.
God.
Danka. Do not understand. He just kept saying Danka.
Yeah,
this is so good.
Yeah, I may load this up. This could be some fun.
Let me know if
they've had. Yeah, apparently they've had AI bots with customizable personalities for a while with this mod, but this is the first time they've brought in an LLM, GPT-esque interaction with them. So yeah, that could be pretty cool.
That's fun.
That's it for this week. I know we're short on time. Do we want to hit my wish list spotlight or not? Up to you guys.
Go for it.
Go for it, baby boy.
All right, this week's wish list spotlight is a game that used to be made but has not been made anymore. Folks, I don't know if you've seen this tweet, but I'm just going to read it out loud. This is from Zeked Up. The most fun I've ever had on my phone was playing a game called Missile Wars. General premise is you see all your friends on a map, and if you have enough points to buy a missile, you can send one at them. They then have a certain amount of time to physically get out of the certain radius. When I was like 12, everyone in school had this. People would be getting attack notifications and sprinting out of class. The amount of times I would get attacked and have to sprint out of my house running down the street at 11 p.m. was insane.
That's amazing.
Yes. And the image on Twitter is just, it's a very early iPhone app, and it's just like Google Maps, and there are avatar people indicators, and then there are circles for missiles, and fuck yes, fuck Pokemon Go. Bring this back. I like the idea of, excuse me, I have to react in real life to this virtual game that's happening.
And the best part is, we should make this, and then we can just sell all the location data, and you can pay extra money. So, like, when you're eating at McDonald's, you can use your microtransactions to buy a defense wall or a satellite grid.
Yes.
So you don't have to run out of the restaurant.
It's not a bad idea.
A pure version of this game without any of that would be amazing, but I cannot imagine any actual company doing that.
I'm sorry, but I want the bad version. I want the we made a deal with McDonald's for $1 billion. Next week is McDonald's immunity zone. If you are inside a McDonald's, you cannot be hurt. Like, I want that. That they could make this. Like, the fact that Pokemon Go popped off so much tells me that if somebody remade this, it would fucking pop off. Like, yeah, God, that would be amazing.
We should put like short form video for commuting in it as well. So you can like watch a show, 10-minute show, get to McDonald's, be immune. No, that genuinely sounds pretty cool. I read this tweet when you put it in here because I was like, because my first reaction was, why the fuck is Ian linking a Twitter thing in the wish list spotlight?
This is my wish list. It's my wish list.
It's your wish list. You love this wish list. That's going to be it for the show, folks. Let me play the outro and we can get the fuck out of here and go to bed, is what I'm thinking. Hi, Mochi. Don't put your arms up. No hiling. Mochi. God, still a Nazi, that cat. It's from Argentina. Okay, we're gonna hit. Oh, I hit the wrong button, everybody. Don't listen to that music. That's the bad music. There we go, folks. Thank you so much for being here. Kyle, Jake, you're lovely, and I love you, and it's early in the morning, and I hope you two have a wonderful day. We will be back on this weekend. I'm not sure yet. With content warning. I think Kyle's going to be there. I think Jake's going to be there. Possibly Jason. So that'll be fun. And then tomorrow night, I will be on Save Data's presentation thing. I'll be presenting a persuasive presentation. I think it's going to rock their world, and I think they're going to agree with me. So tune into that. Yes, exactly who. Thank you, Halucha, for being here. Thank you, the Daniel TVs, for stopping by. Howdy. Tuesday, probably more Fired Emblem. We got to schedule that. Next week, local chat will be at a different time. So look out for that. I'm not sure yet, but we'll see you all there. Bye.
Bye.